So a lot of you know that I'm always talking about that you don't need every single tool and product when you're starting your detailing business, whether it be for a mobile-based operation or for your shop or your garage shop. You absolutely do not need every single tool and product. Now, again, if this is just as a hobby, as a personal thing for your cars, maybe a friend or two, that's fine for you to explore. But as a business, if you're limited on funds or you're trying to keep costs down, or just whatever the case may be, you don't need it. And I've made quite a few videos on this topic already, and I also talk about going outside of the detailing industry to find knowledge, get experience, and implement new strategies into your detailing business. Now, in this instance, I'm going to talk about Lief Babin, I may pronounce that wrong. He's a co-author with Jocko Willink on extreme ownership. I highly recommend you pick up that book. It applies for both business and life. It's a leadership book, probably one of the best leadership books I have read. Jocko Willink, I listen to his podcast quite frequently. And there was one that I came across where he has his co-author on there, Lief Babin, and he's talking about a specific instance where he went on patrol. Well, first, a little backstory on who Lief is. He was a Navy SEAL team platoon commander for SEAL Team 3 Task Unit Bruiser. And this story happened in the Battle of Ramadi. So they're going to go out on a 24 to possibly 48-hour patrol. And he had just arrived there, so he was going out with all his gear. So I'm gonna quote him a little bit, so I don't get anything confused. This is what I got from the podcast, and he said, "I was loading out like if I'm going to World War III. I took extra hand grenades. They typically take 2, and he was carrying an extra 3 to 5. I had extra smoke grenades, extra magazines for their weapons. Typically he carries 7, but he took an extra 4 to 5. He had some 40 millimeter grenades. They typically carry like a handful, but he had an extra 15 on his belt and in the pouch that he was carrying. He had half-liter bottles of water. They typically carry like I think he said 4, but he had like about 10 of them. And he just went stacked with as much gear as possible. And this is on top of the metal plates and extra gear they already carry on them. So he was carrying about 100 pounds of gear in dead heat, like 115 degrees on patrol throughout the day. And he kept on saying, I just need one more thing, because obviously he's in combat, he's in warfare, so he needs to be ready for absolutely anything that crosses his path. And when he went out in patrol, and this was in Iraq, so the heat was like 115 degrees, he was not able to keep up with everyone else because he had too much weight on him. It was so hot, dehydrated, too much. They were sprinting across the streets to patrol, so he absolutely could not keep up with them because he simply had way too much gear. And he said it himself. He said, you don't want to run out of ammo, but you also need to be able to move around. Because if he couldn't move around with everyone else, he was a commander, so if he couldn't move around with everyone else, what good was he if he's just so worried about taking that next extra step because he has so much gear on him? And a little later in the podcast, he says, I'm carrying way too much stuff. Sure, I'm going to run out of ammo, but how much dangerous is it for me to carry so much that I can't even keep up on the patrol? I can't move fast when I need to. I've got to pare this down and only carry the essential stuff and maybe a couple of contingency plans. Maybe an extra grenade. What do I really absolutely need? I don't want to run out of water out there, so maybe I'll have 1 more, but I don't need 4 with me. I've only got to carry the essential stuff because you can absolutely be overwhelmed. And I say this because this directly applies to operations. And even in the podcast themselves, they said how this directly applies to businesses when they're in operations and whatever else that they're doing is that, as Lief Babin said, is that like, I need ammo to shoot. I don't want to run out of ammo, but I also need to be able to move. So where is it that you want to push and pull? And just like in detailing, you want to take everything that you absolutely need for paint correction or for interior cleaning because you might need it. You might want to have to do this one little thing that's going to make life easier. But is that worth it at the cost of, filling up your van, having to carry more weight, taking more time to set up and break down? Is that worth what you possibly might need it for? So as you can tell, this directly applies to detailing businesses where you don't absolutely need to take every single last tool and product. You could, but is the cost of you taking every single thing to do paint correction or interior cleaning services, is you taking all those tools and products worth what you're gonna get out of it? So possibly yes, it may help you to take a steamer, a compressor, a tornador, a air compressed tool for paint correction to get the job done. But is it worth like adding more weight and gear to your mobile van, or to, trying to make more space in your shop, or possibly, like, if you're mobile, to set up and break down after, once, before you start and after you're done. Is all that worth what you're gonna take? Because again, he was in a life or death situation, essentially, where I can run out of ammo, but I also need to move. Which one do I pick and choose? I don't need to take everything. I'll just take a little bit more, and I'll manage it. Same thing with detailers. Is that, do we need to take everything every single time? Absolutely not. It's only going to add confusion. It's going to be a bit more hectic. If you don't have the biggest van, or something like me where I have this HHR, that it's not the biggest thing. So do I want to throw everything in there? Do I just want to say I'm going to purchase 6 different buffers to take with me every single time? The 1-inch pads, 3-inch pads, different backing plates, a compressor. Is that really something I want to do to complicate my life? No. At least not now. If you have a shop, a bigger shop, a higher volume of cars coming in, by all means, it's a bit more justifiable. But if you're just going, job to job with everything that you can absolutely take, you're gonna probably add a bit more hassle to you. It's probably gonna slow you down, maybe more so than help you speed up time. So it's just, this is a really great example of, in a complete, not even different industry, but a completely different world, how you can apply that same concept into business, where, again, life and death detailing. He said, what, I can't take everything. I need to only take the essentials, so you can directly apply it to a detailing business as well. Again, I highly recommend you read Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Lief Babin. Very great book, really great book, extremely great book. I'll have that link down below in the description box. I'll see you on the next video.